Juicy Joe.
So that's that. Now we have some RHOC stuff happening here.
Yeah. So a lot going on, Kelly Dodd, and
she's posting this thing about the producer saying he's not coming back. So what is this? This producer claims that, this producer quit, I guess. And he's saying the reason I quit is because Heather Dubrow is diabolical and I can't work with her anymore. Is that what Kelly Dodd is now claiming?
Yes, but this was on Kelly and Rick's podcast. And my understanding through you, because obviously I don't subscribe. I do follow Kelly, but I don't subscribe, is theirs is all Patreon, right? You have to pay for
You have to pay. And Miss Kelly reached out to me at one point and said, bro, you're killing me with your ads. So once again, thank you, Kelly and Rick, for listening to Behind. They all listen, Sarah. They all listen.
Listen.
So thank you, Kelly and Rick, for listening. But I don't believe in the Patreon only. I mean, everyone listening is like, please don't do only Patreon. I believe the business model is you do this way. And I offer ad-free episodes on Patreon for $20 a month. Everyone listening to this right now can listen and they never can hear an ad again. It's called $20 a month. A lot of people choose that option. Yeah. Otherwise, you have the bonus shows with Kim. I believe you put it out for free to the masses. I'm going to stick with this. And Kelly completely disagrees with me. But yes, I'm going off on a tangent. I'm losing my mind. They're Patreon only. So that's where she claims this. Yes.
So she basically reveals on her podcast, quote, I got some gossip. My old executive producer, Thomas Kelly, will not be in Orange County or not be there working. He called all of us and he said that Heather Dubrow is diabolical, Kelly Dodd revealed on her pod. Dodd also shared that she encouraged the producer to share his thoughts publicly. I said, go on my show, but he's afraid it might like Thomas. We want you to tell all about Heather Dubrow and how much of a nightmare she was working with her. And I would really love for Thomas Kelly to come on my show and explain how much of a nightmare and how everybody was scared of Heather. Bravo did not put all their eggs in one basket, and he scared them into doing it again, stated the former RHOC personality. Thomas was apparently the scapegoat for poor ratings and will not be returning to produce season 17. Okay, so
yeah,
I guess the only part I'm confused about is the quote at the end. Bravo did put they put all their eggs in one basket and he scared them into doing it again. So I'm not sure who she's referring to.
I don't know what that means. Look, Vicky Gunvalson said she had some problem with some producer who was brought in. I wonder if it was the same one. I mean, look, this stuff has been out there about Heather the first time around, that she was difficult to work with. This is the rumor. I mean, of course, Kelly would like this producer to come on her show and talk about all of this. I would like this producer to come on the show, but I've always said this, like, look, this doesn't shock me. This narrative, right? This narrative doesn't shock me. I've always said this. I will only judge someone based on what my interaction with them. And Heather Dubrow has been on my show first with her and Terry, and second alone. The second time she came on, it was on video. The woman had no makeup on, none.
That's ballsy.
Not one stitch of makeup. She was in a puffy jacket. The clips are on YouTube. She sat there and she talked. I asked questions and she gave me real answers. She could not have been lovelier. She could not have been more wonderful. We have a mutual friend in common. I get it. I can see where all this narrative comes because I don't see it. I have never experienced it. I haven't. And I've experienced it from plenty. I get a real Heather Dubrow and when she's on my show, that is just me. So I don't buy it. I mean, it's a narrative that's easy to make up. Yeah, she has a lot of money. I mean, who with a lot of money is not slightly difficult in some way?
Right. Well, that franchise is in trouble, like we've talked about. And like you said, initially there was a rumor they were going to shoot with the same cast. I actually thought that was a good idea. Give it one more go, especially where we know salaries are being cut across the board for Housewives. So maybe it's not that affordable to film, but I'm sure everybody would come back. Then you were kind of hearing that they're not filming, but they have recast and Gina is out.
Dr. Jen is out.
Dr. Jen's out. But Emily will be back. Heather Dubrow would be back. Shannon Bedore would be back. So I guess I'm not sure what we're hearing, but I mean, it does sound like there's a mess there too.
It sounds like there's a mess. And now there's this other narrative or this. So I guess when Andy was on Jeff Lewis, I mean, he asked him a lot of questions. And one of the things I guess they came up was Tamra. And Andy's like, how is that going to work? Like, Tamra has a behind the scenes Housewives podcast. And how is that going to work? Like, listen, did Tamra shoot herself in the foot from going back to her $950,000 salary just to work with the disgust that is Teddi Mellencamp?
Here we go. I love it. Here we go. I mean, because look, I can tell you right now from their podcast, that's allegedly the #1 Housewives podcast.
Oh, we're going to get into that, baby. We're going to get into that in about a second.
They're not making anywhere near $950,000 on their podcast.
No.
You and I, as longtime podcasters with top trending podcasts, both of us have top trending podcasts, and they are not making anywhere near $950,000. So
no. So, and listen, I'm not trashing Teddi, I mean, even though I just did, but it really is the bigger issue of like, man, like, look, we all make decisions in life and you can't look back and say if only, but I see Andy Cohen's point of view. I mean, Tamra has a behind the scenes podcast. Tamra and Teddi can say that they're ex-housewives all day. They're in the same business that Sarah Fraser and David Yontef are in. Period. You can act superior. You can act, we're in the exact same business. Period.
Now wait, go back one second. Are you saying, did Tamra walk away from $950,000 a year? Or I thought Tamra wasn't asked back.
Well, no, I mean, right. Tamra was given a friend role, which she turned down. And her salary to me was probably, I don't know, because I'm not Andy Cohen. He knows for sure. She was probably like in the nines. She's probably in the nines. So, Andy has said, how would that work? How is Tamra going to come on and be a house? Now, granted, in Tamra's defense, do think that she would probably quit the two bees in a pod with Teddi Mellencamp or whatever the fuck it's called if she got a Housewives contract.
By the way.
Oh, excuse me. Well, whatever the name of it is, I believe she would. So it's kind of like, okay, Andy, come on. Like, there's other housewives that people have adjusted their lives for a lot less. Like Tamra, I'm sure would quit, but Andy's like, how would this work? Like, she has behind the scenes podcast where she talks about how the sausage is made. He has a point. It's a kind of a conflict of interest. It is a little strange. It's not like Hannah Berner on Summer House, who's like has her podcast before. God, we're shouting everyone's podcast out today here, but I see his point, and that's just a strange narrative to have out there. So like Tamra might have been considered and now she won't because of this. Oh, girl.
Well, it's too late. Don't you think it's too late? They're already on that train and it's too late, but that's a bummer because she was a good housewife. I don't know. I mean, I tend to disagree with you because it's like, okay, they've had two teas in a pod now for how many months? I mean, have they revealed anything that?
No.
So I think that was a convenient excuse for Andy Cohen right now, who doesn't want to bring her back. I think that's what that was. Because I think we talk about this. The only person I think that they really wouldn't bring back is NeNe Leakes right now, because they can't bring her back because they're in a lawsuit with her.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think they would bring back Kim Zolciak come on, you and I know this business. This business is about ratings. This business is about being #1 and staying at #1 at almost all costs. So I think they would bring back Tamra. I think they would bring back, I think they would end the podcast or they would find another tea.
Would find another tea. And Tamra, girl, let me tell you something.
I think that's
you look out for #1, because let me tell you, that melon ball, she would sell you down the fucking river if they said, here's your Beverly Hills contract, sweetheart. So Tamra, you keep that orange in sight, girl, because that melon ball would sell you down the river.
Jill Zarin is coming back. for Girls Trip. I mean,
anything
I
is possible.
Andy is very, very good at what he does. And I think Andy sees that as what a great reason to currently say, we don't want Tamra back.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And look, we've all been in this business forever. I mean, there's no real burnt bridges. There's not. I mean, we have Shannon Doherty and Tori and Shannon Doherty and Jenny Garth, who are harmonious in a 90210 reboot. Like, whoever you hate, you get over it. I mean, there are people that hate me and then they're on my show. It's like, it is what it is.
I love living in Los Angeles because I meet people that are actors every day. They might not be like A-list actors, but I mean, they're actors that if I told you their names, you've seen them in tons of stuff. And then like their careers are on fire for 5 years. And then it's like everyone stops calling, their agent drops them and they cannot get anything for 2 or 3 years at a time. So we all know, I don't care unless it truly the only person I think in the Bravo universe they would not bring back right now is NeNe Leakes. That is it. That's it.
I agree with you. I mean, to your point about, and Andy did also say in the same interview, Jeff said, true or false, Housewives have been let go, not brought back because they're difficult to work with. Like, forget about how they're,